into the wall. Both are okay, but the caution period sets up one of the most bizarre finishes in IndyCar history. The green light is turned on with half a lap to go. Pancho Carter passes Johnny Rutherford at the line and is temporarily declared the winner, much to Rutherford's dismay.
When we came down here, it was a checkered flag. There was no green to come out. There was one more lap with a white flag. The yellow was still out. We had no idea we were going to go. The track wasn't in shape to run for the charge. This was stupid to come down here like this.
A three-judge kart panel later declares Rutherford the winner of the Molson Indy. Although he is 5th in points, but only 11 behind leader Mario Andretti, Rahal returns to Sanair to try to continue a great season. At Indianapolis, he passes Kevin Kogan at the end of the front stretch and goes on to claim his first Indianapolis 500 win in his 5th start. This celebration is not only for the victory, but for car owner Jim Truman, who would succumb to cancer 2 weeks later. Bobby dedicates the win to Jim Truman.
I'm almost in tears. This one's for Jim Truman.
The Indy cars travel to a temporary road course in Toronto in late July, and Rahal again dusts the competition to claim his 2nd win of the year. This time, the win is for himself and for crew members.
When Steve Horn came up to you right now, he said, "Bobby, I love you. This one's for us."
Yeah, he said on the radio on the cool-off lap, this one, I couldn't hear him, and then he said, "This one's for us," and I said, "You're damned right."
Just last week at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course, Rahal claims another checkered as Danny Sullivan's car falters late in the event. Today, Rahal seeks 2 in a row at Sanair Super Speedway near Montreal in the Molson Indy. The world's leader in motorsports coverage presents Auto Racing 86, setting the standards with the most extensive schedule in racing. We welcome you to Sanair Super Speedway in St. Pie, Quebec, about 40 miles east of Montreal for the Molson Indy. It's a very blustery and cold day here. Although the temperature is 60 degrees, the winds are from the northeast at 15 to 20 miles an hour. The wind chill, well, it feels like it's 0. I'm sure it's a little better than that. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, along with IndyCar driver Howdy Holmes, who finished 9th here 2 years ago. Well, the story this weekend here at Montreal has been Bobby Rahal. He won last weekend's race at Mid-Ohio. He was leading last year's event when he crashed. He starts 4th in today's race, Howdy.
That's right. Bobby's having an excellent year. He won the Indy 500. He won in Toronto, and he's only 9 points behind the leader, so he's a guy to look out for.
Bit of a good combination on the pole for today's race. Not a March Cosworth, as has been the case for most IndyCar races the past few years. Instead, Rick Mears has put a Chevrolet-powered Penske chassis on the pole.
Penske car, the last time a Penske-made car was on the pole was in 1983 at the Milwaukee race. It's got this car that Rick's driving today has an Ilmor Penske Chevrolet engine, which has also been developed in the last year, so it's quite an accomplishment.
The track is only 0.8 of a mile in length. Let's go now to our pit reporter for the afternoon with a comment on the pit area. Here is Jack Arute.
Because this racetrack is only 0.8 of a mile in some, well, pit stops become even more important than at some other places, and here's why. The pit area starts midway down the 2nd straightaway, and it takes up over 1/3 of this racetrack. So, when the race cars only go around the track at about 19 to 21 seconds, a stop on the pit road could put you a lap down. All of it will be predicated on how quick you come through this area, get to your pits, get the work done by your pit crew, and get back out on the racetrack. So there will be no room for error. You'll have to mind your P's and Q's and also do it as quickly and efficiently as possible.
And so today, perhaps more than usual, this race can be won or lost in the pit area. And Bobby Rahal, by the way, will start third in today's event here at Sanair Super Speedway. And it's all being brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By Mobil 1 Synthetic Motor Oil. Mobil 1 protects your engine better than any conventional motor oil. And by Indy, a 225-lap race on this 0.8-mile circuit. It's a tri-oval type configuration, one of the most challenging on the circuit. Now for those words, let's go down to the start-finish line, and Bob Gainey of the Montreal Canadiens.
86, 225 tours de piste.
Well, we're getting ready for Gentlemen Start Your Engines. Bob Gainey, who is the captain of the Montreal Canadiens, will be giving the signal after this introduction to this great crowd for the Molson Indy.
Gentlemen, start your engines.
And with that command, 21 cars begin to fire up for this CART PPG IndyCar World Series event. As we said, 21 starters for today's race, and now here is the starting lineup. On the pole, qualifying at a speed of 148.132 miles an hour in the Pennzoil C7 Penske Chevrolet, Rick Mears, car number 1. Outside of the front row will be Kevin Cogan in number 7, the 711 March. In row number 2 will be Bobby Rahal in the number 3 Budweiser True Sports March. And on the outside of row number 2 will be Michael Andretti driving the Craco STP Lean Machine, car number 18. In the third row will be Mario Andretti in the Hanna Car Wash Lola, car number 5. And outside of row number 3 will be Emerson Fittipaldi in the Marlboro March, car number 20. Row number 4 on the inside, car number 2, driven by Roberto Guerrero in the True Value Emerson March. The outside of row number 4, car number 4, driven by Danny Sullivan in the Miller American March. Row number 5 consists of Tom Sneva in car number 33, the Skoll Bandit March. And on the outside of row number 5, driving the number 30, Domino's Pizza Lola, will be Al Unser Jr. Starting in row number 6 will be Dennis Firestone in car number 36. Outside of the 6th row will be Pancho Carter in car number 9. The 7th row, Jacques Villeneuve in car number 71, and outside car number 21, driven by Johnny Rutherford. In the 8th row will be Derek Daly in the number 66 Skoll March. Outside of the 8th row, Dick Simon in car 23. The 9th row will be car number 8, driven by Jeff Brabham. That's the Valvoline Spirit Lola. Outside of the 9th row will be Dale Coyne in car number 19. In the 10th row, Johnny Parsons in car number 55. Then Gary Bettenhausen in car number 24. And finally, in row number 11, all alone will be Raoul Boisel in car number 22. Now, Gary Bettenhausen crashed during a qualification attempt yesterday, and he starts in the 20th position. Raoul Boisel did not attempt a qualification attempt, so he will be starting in 21st position. Now, look at this racetrack. It's 0.826 miles in length. The turns are 60 feet wide. The banking is from 4 to 6 degrees, and the pit road is 1,000 feet. It was built in 1983. The seating capacity is 30,000, and as you can see, it's the shortest track on which the CART PPG IndyCar World Series competes. There were 19,000 people here yesterday, almost 20,000 people for qualifications, and a Players' Challenge race, that race involving some Trans Ams and some Camaros. But I don't think there's quite that many people here today. Now, we have a couple of cars that were in the pits briefly that are now moving back out onto the racetrack, namely Gary Bettenhausen and Jeff Brabham. There goes Brabham back out onto the race course. So we should have a full field of 21 starters when we get the green flag, and they'll get it on the 4th time around. There you can see the shot from our in-car camera, which is being carried by Jacques Villeneuve, who finished 8th back in 1984 at this event. And of course, he was the driver involved with the very controversial accident here at Sanair last year when he and Bobby Rahal made contact, sending them both into the outside wall. Villeneuve likes this track very much. His home is only about 30 miles from this racetrack. There you can see Rick Mears, the pole sitter, scuffing in the tires and making sure that the tires are heated up, have good adhesion before we go to a full green. So the Ilmor Chevrolet has won the pole position for this race, and not only that, but the Penske chassis has won the pole position. So, Howdy, perhaps we're seeing an end of the domination of the Cosworths and the Marches and the Lolas.
I'm not so sure it's an end, Bob, but it certainly is the beginning for the Ilmor Chevrolet Penske project, and most certainly the PC-15. The Penske people have had difficulty trying to get the car and the engine developed at the same time, so consequently this is a major accomplishment.
Well, let's go to Jack Arute for a report from the Penske pit area. Jack?
There were some close moments prior to the start of this race in the Penske pit with pole sitter Rick Mears. It seems they had an oil line that was suspect. They changed it and only brought the car to the grid about 5 minutes before the gentlemen start your engines command. So that's not what you want to have before the start of the race, but hopefully from the pole position they'll be able to run well. Let's go back upstairs.
All right, thank you, Jack. As you can see, it's a variably cloudy afternoon. We do have some clouds hanging around. The sun peeks through occasionally. When the sun is out, it's rather comfortable. But when the sun goes back under a cloud, it's quite cool because the winds are from the northeast at about 15 to 20 miles an hour.
The light has gone out on the pace car, so we're anticipating a start this time around. That is, if everybody's lined up properly and they do get the green flag.
All right, we'll watch the pace car. It indeed does pull off of the racetrack. It's in the pit area. Here comes the field off of corner number 3 for hopefully a start of the Molson Indy here in Montreal at Sanair Super Speedway. The green flag is out and we are racing. We're glad you could be with us on this Sunday. We have a spin in turn 1. 2 cars are involved. 3 cars are involved in the spin. And I believe one of them is Dennis Firestone, also Jacques Villeneuve and Dale Coyne. And now we have the picture back in our in-car camera. Villeneuve trying to catch up with the field as Dennis Firestone and Dale Coyne are both trying to get restarted. You can see one of the safety officials trying to push the Coyne car out of the way. That's the yellow, red, and blue car to the inside of the racetrack. The field goes through, and Dennis Firestone's car is still at the top of the racetrack. So we have a yellow flag here on lap number 1. And Jacques Villeneuve comes into the pit area for a tire change. Must have flat spotted the tires when he spun down there in the first corner. And Dale Coyne's car is being hooked up to the tow rope, and he will get a tow back into the pit area.
We can see that Villeneuve being in the pits, he's got some damage right in front of the right rear wheel. I don't know whether that was caused by spinning or hitting another car. It was pretty confusing there for a minute, but they are working pretty hard on trying to fix up the bodywork in that area.
Here it is from the in-car camera. You can see Firestone losing control right ahead of Villeneuve, and Jacques not really knowing which way to go.
He did all he could do was look. There was the bump right there. You could see that, see his head moving. I think Jacques really didn't have a place to go. His only alternative was to spin it.
So Villeneuve into the pit area. They're assessing the damage to this car. It's kind of unique because Villeneuve, who of course is trying to impress the hometown crowd, crashed on the very first lap in Toronto, and now he's involved in an accident that really wasn't his fault here in Montreal. We'll take this break and be back with more from the Molson Indy. First turn on the first lap involving Dennis Firestone, Jacques Villeneuve, and Dale Coyne. Firestone's car still on the racetrack. They're trying to get it off. Villeneuve's car is in the pit area. In addition to some right side damage, we understand there are some electrical problems with that car. Once again, let's go to Jack Arute.
It seems that Jacques Villeneuve has been victimized once again due to an accident here in a Canadian race. Here's what's happened. In that crash, the fuel pump was busted loose from its fittings. They're having a problem now trying to replace it, make the changes, make the repairs, and get him back out into the race. What they're going to have to do is take it behind the wall, though, to initiate those repairs.
Well, it is a tough break for Jacques, who is trying to impress his Canadian friends and his hometown people, but unfortunately in both Canadian races he is taken out on the very first lap. They're still trying to get the Dennis Firestone car off of the racetrack down in turn number 1, and the ambulance is also down there in that area. Dennis may be taken to the infield hospital and checked over. There wasn't serious contact between cars. Villeneuve bumped Firestone just slightly, and now the car is being towed back to the pit area. I'm not sure, but what, Dennis is still in the car, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he still is, Bob. And the ambulance was just out there as a precautionary measure, as you would readily expect. But I think Dennis is in the car and is being towed to the pits at the moment.
All right, let's take a look at the point standings going into this race here at Montreal. Mario Andretti leads the points after 11 races with 97, but look how close this battle is. Danny Sullivan is only 1 point behind Michael Andretti, who led the point standings for a great time during the early part of the season, is third. Allenzer Jr. is fourth, and Bobby Rahal is in fifth position, but with 88 points. And then 6 through 10, Kevin Kogan has 75, Tom Sneva 71, Johnny Rutherford 68, Mears 55, and Roberto Guerrero has 48 points. Mears, interestingly enough, has not won a race this year, and he's trying to keep his streak alive, having won a race every year for the last several years. We understand that Dennis Firestone may have an injury to his arm that the doctors will be looking at, but we do not believe it's anything to be very serious. Now, Dale Coyne, who was involved in the incident down in turn number 1, has rejoined the field. His car is at the tail end of the pack as it comes around to complete lap number 7. We have not completed a single lap under green so far.
I might add that these laps, however, do count because they were given a green flag on the 4th time around, and even though there hasn't been a full lap of racing, these laps do count.
All right, still under yellow, anticipating a green shortly, and we will be right back. Green flag comes out. We are racing once again after a yellow at the very beginning of the event. Down into corner number 1, it is Rick Mears leading with Michael Andretti and Kevin Kogan battling it out for second position. They go through turn number 2 onto the short stretch connecting turns 2 and 3, and now Kogan clearly has second position, and Bobby Rahal trying to grab away third position from, rather, Mario Andretti trying to take third position from his son Michael, but having to hit the brakes hard going into that third turn.
Looks like Rick Mears really got a pretty good jump on everybody on that restart. He's pulled out about 7 or 8 car lengths lead right off the bat.
I think, Howdy, the question is, can the Ilmor Chevrolet engine last? It has proven its speed by sitting on the pole here today, but there is a question of reliability. What do you think?
Well, I think that it's an obvious situation. You've got a new car, you've got a new engine. They're trying to keep up on top of the series as well at the same time. A lot of things that they've got to work out. So reliability most certainly is going to be a question, I should say, not a problem.
Rick Mears leading this race, but Kevin Kogan now begins to close in on Mears as we have completed 12 laps. Michael Andretti is running third, then Mario Andretti, followed by Bobby Rahal, then Emerson Fittipaldi and Al Unser Jr. The number 22 car of Raul Boisel has come in for a pit stop as we continue to watch the action on the racetrack. There is Kogan, who's now closed in within about a car length and a half of Rick Mears as they head for turn number 2 once again, approaching some slower traffic. That is Dale Coyne that they'll be lapping right now. Rick Mears looking for win number 1 this season on the CART PPG IndyCar World Series. Boisel goes back into the race as the leaders come down and cross the stripe one more time.
We've already got somebody into the pits. It looks like Dick Simon. They pulled in behind the wall. Not really sure what the problem is, but he's out of the race.
And on the racetrack, Tom Sneva is involved in somewhat of a battle with Roberto Guerrero in car number 2. Sneva right now is listed as in 9th position and Guerrero in 10th. You remember last year Roberto Guerrero had a problem here while leading this race. Right now running back in 10th position. Guerrero started the race in 7th, so he has dropped back somewhat, while Sneva, who started 9th, is still running in that spot. Sneva, one of those that you would think would perform very well on this oval, as Tom is known as an oval specialist, and the shortness of this track also would indicate that he could be very, very strong in today's event.
We are 15 laps into this race. Rick Mears is leading, and my prediction is that they're going to start lapping the back marker in about 3 laps. It gives you an idea how small this place really is.
It really is. It's 20.074 seconds to make a lap around here. At least that's what it took Rick Mears to set his new track record. And by the way, there were 6 cars that broke the previous track record in qualifying. Mears, Kogan, Rahal, Andretti, and Fittipaldi all broke the previous track record that was held by Bobby Rahal. The number 22 car of Raul Boisel has dropped out of this event, while the leaders do begin to lap some of the slower traffic. Let's go to the infield hospital, where Jack Arute has this report for us.
Dennis Firestone has been taken to here, the mobile medical unit from the Horton safety team. They've looked him over, and the initial prognosis is that he has a problem, possibly a separation of his shoulder. It's swelled up, and they're taking him through all the precautionary measures at this time. But he's awake, conscious, very upset that he's out of the race, but actually okay.
All right, Jack, thank you very much. We have some great racing going on out there, as now there are the first 3. You can see how close they are. Rick Mears leading, Kevin Kogan in 2nd position, and Michael Andretti is running 3rd. And Kogan is able to close in on Mears every time they go into a corner, but Mears is able to pull away as they go down the straightaways. And now Michael Andretti, for the 2nd consecutive lap, looking to the inside of Kevin Kogan, trying to find that 2nd spot. And now Andretti making a move, but has to back off going into the 2nd corner, and he almost loses the spot to his father. Mario pulls alongside Michael, and Mario goes into 3rd.
Goes into 3rd spot, going underneath Michael into the 3rd turn, and Bobby Rahal is closed up as well. The 1st through 5th spots are just nose to tail all the way around here.
Michael slides high coming out of corner number 1, and now Rahal challenges Michael for the spot, but can't get it. There he is off of corner number 2. Rahal to the inside, going into turn 3, cannot pick up the position. But some great wheel-to-wheel racing here as the leaders once again lap some of the slower traffic. Now a battle for the lead, and Kogan has to get hard onto the brakes and smokes the tires going into turn number 1.
Well, old-fashioned bull ring racing here.
And Mario is moving, and so is Bobby Rahal. So some great action here, and look at the... Kogan is slowing down. Kogan slowing down in his pass.
He got caught up in some traffic with the 5 guys so close. Anybody make the slightest wrong move, 2 or 3 guys get by. And now it's Rick Mears, Mario Andretti, Michael Andretti, Kevin Kogan, and Bobby Rahal.
I have never seen such racing. Look at this. Mario Andretti goes into the lead, sneaking under Rick Mears. Michael Andretti challenges Mears for 2nd position.
And he's got him going into the 1st turn. Kogan passing Mears on the outside 1st turn. So what a change of events.
When I said Kogan was slowing down, it was indeed only because he had been caught in traffic and had nowhere to go. He is moving up toward the front once again. They begin to get strung out just a little bit, but boy, some unbelievable wheel-to-wheel and nose-to-tail IndyCar racing here on this tight tri-oval at Sanair Super Speedway. This is the way they're running right now. It is Mario Andretti, Michael Andretti, Kevin Kogan, Bobby Rahal, and then Rick Mears. Let's go down once again for a report from the pit area, and here is Jack Arute.
We've told you about the condition of Dennis Firestone. Let's update you on the condition of his race car. It's ready to go back to action. So what they've done is they've contacted Gary Bettenhausen. He's run back to his truck to get his helmet. Bettenhausen will go in the cockpit of Firestone's car and complete today's Molson Indy.
All right, thank you, Jack.
It looks to me like Rick Mears is having some sort of mechanical problem. He's dropped way, way, way off the pace. Roberto Guerrero, and just now Emerson Fittipaldi, and soon to be Alan Jr., Tom Sneva, and Roberto Guerrero are getting by him. I think he's got some sort of problem.
So the pole sitter, Rick Mears, is dropping back. We continue to watch this battle for the lead. It involves father and son. Mario Andretti is the leader, following Derek Daly, who is a slower car. Now we'll watch Michael go to the inside of his father in turn number 1. Cannot make the pass, has to back off. Now here comes Bobby Rahal up to the challenge also. Now Michael once again looking to the inside of Mario, coming into turn number 2. Can't get the job done, but there's how close the battle is for 2nd position, as Bobby Rahal is also right there.
This points up something. You see that they're coming up on to lap a back marker, and it really slows the guys up if it's not giving them a lot of room, and things don't look easy out there. You'd think maybe they let the leaders go, but but this place is very, very small, and if you're really not awake, you can have problems like this.
That's Derek Daly, who's now sandwiched, or at least was, between first and second. Now he positions himself between second and third. Derek Daly in car number 66, the Skoll March, who has replaced, of course, Ed Pym, who was injured earlier this year in an accident and has had to sit out a few races. And Derek Daly, who used to be in the broadcast booth with us, doing a fine job last weekend at Mid-Ohio. He finished in 6th position. Here we go once again with a battle for the lead. They come down. It is Michael positioned right behind his father, Mario. We have completed 31 laps. 31 laps have been completed. We understand that Rick Mears may be coming in for a pit stop. His crew is readying. Jack Arute can tell us more.
Here's the problem on Rick Mears, your pole sitters. He began to drop back. They thought he had a serious push to the car. But now they think he may have a tire going down. So Roger Penske has called Rick Mears into the pits. This is definitely an unexpected pit stop. He should be making his presence known here on pit road right behind me. He's coming to a stop. The crew. Now, what tire may be wrong? You can see the blisters on the right front tire. It is blistered badly, and that is very indicative of probably a serious handling problem. Not a tire being cut, but rather blistered. He's off and away. Let's go back topside.
Rick got a good start coming out of the pits, but unfortunately he had to spend that time in there with either handling and or tire problems.
And not only does he go out of the pits, but also Jacques Villeneuve has gone back onto the oval after the incident down at turn number 1 on lap number 1. Back with more in just a minute from Sanair. Speedway near Montreal, and unbelievable IndyCar racing. We're watching Roberto Guerrero in car number 2, who has moved up to 2nd position from his 7th starting place. Roberto Guerrero is now in 3rd position. I beg your pardon, as the Andretti's Mario and Michael run 1st and 2nd, but Guerrero all the way up to 3rd.
We're looking at Mario Andretti leads this race. His son Michael's right behind him. Roberto Guerrero is about 3 car lengths back. Then we have Bobby Rahal in the Budweiser car. Then it drops back to Kevin Kogan, Danny Sullivan.
Raul Boisel goes back out onto the racetrack, so we've had several pit stops here in the first 39 laps of this race, all of them unscheduled, including one by Rick Mears, who was our pole sitter, and Mears' pit stop has dropped him back to 15th position. Blistered tire causing Rick Mears to come into the pit area. Now, we understand that Gary Bettenhausen has climbed into Dennis Firestone's car and is on the racetrack in competition. Firestone spun down in turn number 1 on the first lap and apparently has suffered a dislocated shoulder. However, the car was not damaged, and Gary Bettenhausen, whose car developed a mechanical problem and had to fall from the race, is in the Firestone car.
Roberto Guerrero has closed up on both Michael and Mario Andretti. It looks like he's reeling both of those guys in.
Here they come off of corner number 3, and they are about to put a lap on Kevin Kogan, who is running strong at the...
That's actually Jeff Rabb.
That is Jeff Rabb, I beg your pardon. As Kogan continues to run in 5th position. There's the average speed after 40 laps, 101.108 miles an hour.
Between 1st and 4th position, you get covered with a blanket. It's really terrific kart Indy racing. Unbelievable. Coming up on some slower traffic, 2 cars in front of them. And Michael's right underneath the rear wing of his father, Mario. Right behind that is Roberto Guerrero, and not too far back is Bobby Rahal.
Michael trying to get a wheel under his father, Mario, but can't do it. Has to brake hard going into the 3rd turn.
There goes Guerrero.
Guerrero
almost got under Michael Andretti, not quite.
And Rahal, meanwhile, is challenging Guerrero for that 3rd position as we continue to watch the leaders, 1st and 2nd, Mario Andretti and Michael Andretti. Still following Jeff Rabham out there on the racetrack. Raul Boisel has been in and out of the pit area. Let's find out why as we go once again to Jack.
Teammates Dick Simon and Raul Boisel have had their share of problems. Here's what happened to Boisel early in the race. He tore up the front wings. So his car owner and teammate Dick Simon pulled out of the race, removed the front wings from his car, put them on Raul Boisel's car, and they're back out racing. So let me update you on another concern as well. It's beginning to rain.
We've got yellow flag here. That's due to the fact that we've got some liquid sunshine on the track here.
Well, the weatherman had predicted possible showers in the morning, but then partly sunny skies during the afternoon. The clouds, quite honestly, don't look like that it's going to present a serious problem as far as rain, perhaps just a passing shower, but nevertheless it is enough to bring out a yellow flag. There is also debris on the racetrack, and that may be more the reason for the yellow than for rain.
I think you're right. I sort of jumped the gun there. The word from CART is that as we see a multitude of pit stops here, the word from CART is that there's debris.
All the leaders are coming in. There is Bobby Rahal getting a change of rubber on the right side of the car, and also Michael Andretti, who's getting fuel. And there was contact between Michael and Mario a few laps ago, Howdy.
Yeah, Michael really tried to set up his dad for a pass, and his father, the word is close the door on the son. So there was a little bit of contact there, but most of the smoke that you saw there in the replay was actually from Michael's left front and right front tire.
Maybe replacing a front wing on the Michael Andretti car? Yes, they are. The right front wing is being replaced. Perhaps both sides are.
So that definitely tells you there was contact.
So Michael Andretti is going to spend a considerable time in the pits getting this front wing replaced. Let's go to Jack Arute again.
Front wings are taking more than their heavy toll in terms of damage. Now Michael Andretti has come onto pit road. Barry Green and the Craigco crew have had to replace the front wings, and Michael Andretti is literally livid about the situation. They've done it quickly, but now the car almost stalls as he goes back out, but it's under power, and they've brought him out, and it was a break because it took place under caution. Gentlemen?
But I think he lost a lap, didn't he, Howdy?
Oh, I think he lost more than a lap, even though it was caution. I would say he probably, I'm just guessing, but at least 2. Even under the pace car, they go around here in about 45 seconds. So he was in the pits longer than that.
Tough break for Michael Andretti.
I might add that with the shortness of this track and the number of yellows I'm sure we're going to have, you might be able to pick that lap up, or maybe both.
All right, we are under yellow because of debris on the racetrack, and we'll be right back with more of the Molson Indy.
You know,
Joe Carter will be assessed a stop-and-go penalty, we understand, when Green comes back out, and we are going green as we speak because he ran over a tire coming in for his pit stop. Pancho Carter, who was second quickest in the final practice yesterday, and whom we expected some great things from this afternoon, will be assessed a stop-and-go penalty. On the racetrack, it is now Roberto Guerrero running in second position, and the lead being held by Mario Andretti. In third spot would be Johnny Rutherford. Fourth is Bobby Rahal. Fifth position is Emerson Fittipaldi. Sixth is Tom Sneva. Seventh is Al Unser Jr. Eighth is the number 7 car of Kevin Hogan. There is the stop-and-go penalty for Pancho Carter. Ninth is Carter, and in 10th position would be Johnny Parsons. He is a lap down. There are 9 cars on the lead lap. And we're watching now that battle for 4th and 5th position involving Bobby Rahal and Emerson Fittipaldi. They're running about 6 seconds behind the leader, Mario Andretti, but involved in a duel for that 4th spot.
Fittipaldi on the inside of the first turn. Bobby looks like he's going to make it. Excellent pass by Emo.
Emerson Fittipaldi moves into 4th place now as we have completed 53 laps of this event.
Looks like Fittipaldi's really stretching it out there from Bobby. You know, the funny thing is, after these pit stops here, you get new tires and you get some new, a lot of fuel stuff. Sometimes the handling of the car changes drastically, sometimes better, for the better, and sometimes for the worse. You really never can tell what's going on until you get on the track. The drivers have sway bars that they can adjust harder or softer by themselves manually. But it's always a question. You really never know what you're going to have handling-wise until after you get out on the track and run a pretty hard lap.
Emerson Fittipaldi has been moving up steadily since the pit stops that he made into 4th now. And here we have a battle for the lead.
Guerrero takes over there underneath Mario Andretti into turn 1.
So Roberto Guerrero Guerrero now moves into the lead and puts Mario Andretti back to second position. And so for the second consecutive year here at Sanair, Roberto Guerrero has marched toward the front. Now, Roberto was third quickest in the final practice session yesterday, and that's really a pretty good indication as to how things are going to go in the race, because that's when the drivers come out with full fuel loads and a race day setup. And Guerrero was quite quick yesterday, and he has proven that the car is still quick here on Sunday. And some close racing down there between Guerrero and Pancho Carter as Guerrero laps Carter.
Well, I might add that in the last practice yesterday, Pancho Carter was his second quickest in a field and full tank practice session. So looks like we've got a little light rain, particularly in corners 2 and 3. And Jeff Brabham's been in the pits a couple of times with some suspension problems. So things look difficult for Jeff at the moment.
Roberto Guerrero, meanwhile, is stretching out the advantage just a little bit on second place Mario Andretti, as Carter is positioned between Guerrero and Mario Andretti. So it's now about a 2-second lead for Roberto. Well, things are beginning to settle down just a little bit, Howdy, but I'll tell you, there in the first 40 laps or so of this race, before that first yellow came out, we saw IndyCar racing that I have never seen before, as far as wheel-to-wheel and positions changing.
Well, I think we're going to see that throughout the whole race, Bob. What happens is, as people make their pit stops, they sort of get out of sync. The leaders get out of sync with each other. That does not mean, however, that they don't catch up. The leaders, you know, the cream always rises to the top. So you're going to see it again. It's just a question of catching up with each other.
All right, Roberto Guerrero now in the second turn. And there once again is Emerson Fittipaldi and Bobby Rahal, who continue to run very close out there on the racetrack for fourth position. Mo in that white and red car, Marlboro sponsored, in fourth, and Bobby Rahal, last week's winner at Mid-Ohio, in fifth position. There's the average speed after 60 laps, 101.674 miles an hour. Emerson Fittipaldi, the two-time world driving champion, who has won only one IndyCar race, and that, believe it or not, was on a super speedway, the High Bank Trioval at Michigan International Speedway. Bobby Rahal following there in fifth position. Well, let's once again go down for an update on activity in the pit area and Jackaroo.
Jeff Brabham has had problems since the drop of the green flag to start this race. He pulled into the pits because his steering wheel wasn't attached properly to the race car. When they reattached it, however, they've had to add some shims to the steering. And that's created a handling feel to the driver that tends to make him think that the car has got a problem. They've pulled it out of the pit several times to make adjustments, but they don't seem too concerned, other than the shims inside the steering wheel seem to be masking a feel back to Jeff Brabham. So it's going to be a long day for Brabham and the Gallus operation.
Listen, I've had that steering wheel problem, and luckily it didn't come all the way off, but believe me, that upsets the driver tremendously.
Well, I would guess it would.
You know, it's a little toy. You turn the steering wheel and nothing happens. It gets your attention in a hurry.
I can imagine it would. All right, let's give you the first 7, and there are 7 cars on the lead lap at the moment. Guerrero is the leader, Mario Andretti second, Johnny Rutherford third, Emerson Fittipaldi fourth, Bobby Rahal fifth. 6th is Al Unser Jr., and 7th is Tom Sneva. Those cars are on the lead lap. A lap down would be Kevin Kogan, who is in 8th position. 9th is Pancho Carter, who's a lap down. And in 10th is Michael Andretti, who also is 1 lap down. And Roberto Guerrero is looking quite strong here as he comes down the main straightaway and concludes lap number 68. The difference between first and second is only about 1.2 seconds, but when you look out there on the racetrack, it's quite a distance, because it only takes, as we said, about 21 seconds to make a lap here.
Well, actually, you know, probably in favor to be in the lead here. You run across the traffic sooner, you get to pick the spot. As you can see right now, well, we're watching a race with Mo and Bobby Rahal on the front straight, but for the lead, you've got Guerrero. Andretti's just going by Kevin Kogan. I'd rather be in a lead in a situation like this, have the opportunity to pass when you like, not depend on somebody else to do it.
Once again, we're watching having that battle for fourth position with Emerson Fittipaldi and Bobby Rahal. And we understand the black flag is going to be given to Jacques Villeneuve because of some loose body work on the underside of the car. Now Rahal is beginning to challenge Emerson Fittipaldi for just a moment at least.
Jacques in the pits. They've got a bunch of racing tape over the body work, which he's been black flagged for. And it may be just the car people are looking at it. It may just be a situation where they're going to have to add more tape. It may also be a situation that they're going to have to spend a fair amount of time and fix it. We'll have to see.
Rahal stalking Emerson Fittipaldi for that fourth position. They're running about 6 seconds behind the leaders. Now it appears as if Emerson Fittipaldi has closed in on Johnny Rutherford, who's running in third position. So we're going to have a battle here for third, fourth, and fifth. As the lap car of Pancho Carter goes high on the racetrack, and both Fittipaldi and Rahal go to the inside. But there is Johnny Rutherford right ahead of Fittipaldi now in third position.
Rutherford is trying to get by Danny Sullivan. Right behind Rutherford is Fittipaldi and Rahal.
And Danny Sullivan has already fallen 2 laps off the pace, so Sullivan not having a good day, at least in the first 74 laps. Back in just a moment at Sanair. For the Molson Indy, at the moment it is Roberto Guerrero leading and Mario Andretti running in second position. Canadian favorite Jacques Villeneuve continues to have problems. Here's Jack Arute.
You can see that Jacques Villeneuve has retired from the race, and here's why. After that altercation early on, the underpinning beneath the side pods has come unhinged, and it's been flapping down on the racetrack. Cart officials called him in and said either fix it or park it. It's unable to fix it right now, so they've decided to do just that. Park the car, retire Villeneuve. We'll try and get some words from Villeneuve, and we'll be back to you shortly.
Boy, howdy, you got to feel for Jacques because he's a good race driver. There's absolutely no question about that. He's been trying so hard to put on a good show for his hometown fans, both in Toronto and here in Montreal. As we said, his home is only about 30 miles from here, and boy, it's just been 2 very bad races for Jacques up here.
Well, up here and also the Toronto race, I must admit that this one in particular didn't look like it was his fault, but geez, I hope what happened last year doesn't happen this year. When Rahal and Villeneuve went out last year, the entire grandstand's empty.
And here's the leader coming in for a pit stop, Roberto Guerrero. I don't know, Howdy, is this a scheduled pit stop?
Well, I think it's just a fuel stop and tires. I don't believe that he came in on the second yellow like everyone else. So it's probably untimely at the moment since we are under green. You can lose a lap just even if you have a quick pit stop. Well, it's like they're spending some time. They're having a little bit of difficulty.
He has indeed lost a lap as Mario is all over in turn number 2 already, and if he doesn't hurry out of the pits, he's going to be 2 laps down. More on this with Jack Arute, our pit reporter.
The litany of bad luck for Roberto Guerrero and the True Value team continues here at Sanair. After leading and running so well here, Roberto Guerrero was forced to pit because he ran out of fuel. Remember, he did not pit early on. Now, pit stops, he ran out of fuel. They had to restart the engine. It was a lot of time on pit road. You can't afford to do that here at an 0.8 of a mile track.
Well, it looks like Rick Mears has just pulled into the pits again with a cart official standing there. If you remember, Rick had some tire problems right in the beginning. He was our pole sitter. He sort of had a tough day for Rick and the Penske crew so far.
Yeah, he has had tire problems on the right front all afternoon, which obviously indicates that they have had a wrong setup on the car or something. Anyway, Rick is still in the pits, and it looked like he could be out.
Excuse me, Bob. It's conceivable that in the process of changing that oil line at the last minute before and being late to the grid, that somewhere in that process they had jacked a little weight around and it might have ended up on the right front. That explained why they keep blistering right front tires.
All right, the leader is Mario Andretti. Now running in second position is Bobby Rahal. Third is Emerson Fittipaldi, and fourth is Al Unser Jr. Those cars are on the lead lap. A lap down now in fifth position is Kevin Kogan. So we're beginning to see now
know,
several cars being lapped.
excuse me, but we just got word that Roberto Guerrero also blistered the right front tire. So I'm not sure what's going on here, but it's unusual that you're going to have this many blistered tires so early in a race.
Rick Mears goes behind the wall, and we'll be right back. Pit stop on lap number 88, but it's a quick pit stop, and Mario gets back out there. But here comes the leader now, Bobby Rahal, into turn number 1, and he is going to put a lap on Mario. But all of this really is not that important, since Rahal will also have to be making a pit stop, we assume, rather quickly.
Yeah, Bobby hasn't come in. He managed to get by Mario. Mario did pit, pulling out a little bit, but as you said, Bobby's going to have to pit and get some gas here before too long.
So updating you once again on the Rick Mears situation, he has pulled the car behind the wall. Our pole sitter, Rick Mears, who set a new track record here in qualifying on Saturday with a 148.132 miles an hour, and who led the first few laps of this race, has now gone behind the wall in that Penske chassis powered by the Chevy Ilmore.
We're watching Bobby Rahal, and to bring you up to date, our leader is Bobby. In second place, we have Al Unser Jr., the Domino's Pizza. Third place is Kevin Cogan, and then we have one lap down, listed as Mario Andretti. That's the top 5. Pardon me, fifth place, that was Mario Andretti's 4th, and again, another lap down is number 33, Tom Sneva.
And pit stops are occurring under green. Derek Daly is in for a pit stop as we watch the action on the racetrack. The Michael Andretti crew is also getting set for a pit stop by him, and Michael is running in 6th position at the moment. Well, there is a good points battle going on in the CART PPG IndyCar World Series. One of those drivers right in the battle is Bobby Rahal, and we had a chance to talk to him about that.
With as good a season as you've had, and knowing that in the past you've gotten better as the season went long, does that excite you as a driver going into the stretch drive?
Well, you know, I think we've got a very real shot at the championship, probably a better shot than we've ever had, and certainly that's exciting, but I think you have to temper that. You know, you've got to take things one race at a time. If you look down the road, you miss what's right in front of you, and we've got a lot of hard racing left to do, and we'll celebrate when the time comes. But right now we've got a lot of work to do, and we've got to run well for the rest of the year.
That's Bobby Rahal, and he is the leader of the race, staying out there. He'll have to have a pit stop shortly, though. Michael Andretti has come in for a pit stop.
The second time, we might add, he just left the pits, went around the track, 0.8 of a mile, and right back into the pits. They've got a problem with the rear of that car, it looks like.
I think there's something on the right rear side of the car that is not working correctly. The Skull car of Tom Sneva is also on pit road for a second time. Well, let's go down for a report once again from the pit area and Jack Arute.
Rick Mears is a DNF here at Sanair. Rick, what put you out of the race?
Oh, we had some engine problems, what really put us out. But you know, the Penske and the Chevrolet were working pretty decent. We had the track conditions changed last night. So we made some corrections overnight. We went too far and the handling was off. And we were just trying to get it going again, but then had a little motor problem.
What about the problem early today when you had to change the oil line? Could it have been possible that when you were changing that line, you might have knocked the weight distribution out just a bit, and that could account for the problem burning those right front tires?
No, I don't think that would have been a problem. I really don't. You know, just basically the changes that we made overnight, I think were just too far for the track conditions this morning, and you know, that's really what hurt us.
Well, it hurt him bad. He's out of the race, gentlemen.
So the Chevy Ilmore engine will probably have to undergo some more work and some more testing, as it has failed on Rick Mears, putting him out of the race.
I would like to mention that it has failed. They didn't finish the race, but this is really extremely competitive series. To be able to sit on the pole, especially the record time at Sanair, where Rick had problems, got to give those guys a lot of credit.
Yeah, and you got to admire Roger Penske for really bucking the system, so to speak, and going with a different type of chassis and a different engine and trying to develop it for the future.
Not only that, but we understand Roger Penske's got some hamstring problems, I guess, or he wasn't here Friday and Saturday, and he did manage to make it up for the race, and I'm sure the crew and Rick and everybody is happy to see him.
Once again,
Roger.
Michael Andretti has come in for a third time. It was just kind of a stop and then proceed, but nevertheless, it cost Michael Andretti some valuable time out there on the racetrack.
Now we have Bobby Rahal as listed third. He just came in the pits, but, or pardon me, first. Second, we have Al Unser Jr., Mr. Consistency. He has finished 9 out of the 10 races this year, taking the U.S. Can Award 8 times so far. There's only been 10 races.
There goes Bobby Rahal under Johnny Rutherford to put a lap on Rutherford. We might update you on the Dennis Firestone situation. He was injured in an accident on the first lap of this race. Received a shoulder injury. He is being transported to a local hospital. He's been taken from the infield medical facility, the Horton Safety Medical Center, to the local hospital for a further examination of that shoulder.
Roberto Guerrero
down in 7th position, Howdy, after a very fine run in the early stages of this race, but unfortunately now is shown as being
Well, it says 2 laps down, or no, that's not correct either.
They now show him on the lead lap, as a matter of fact, in 2nd position, not Al Unser Jr. So Roberto Guerrero has passed Al Unser Jr. and is now in that 2nd spot. The lead continues to be held by Bobby Rahal. Here's Jack Arute.
It seems like when it rains, it pours, especially on Roberto Guerrero. He had the problem when he ran out of fuel. Now the report is that they may have to come in and replace the front wing. It seems that he's damaged one, and he's flying wounded around Sanair. Gentlemen?
All right, so Roberto Guerrero in 2nd position. That's how close 2nd and 3rd are. There is Al Unser Jr. right behind Roberto Guerrero, so this is the battle for 2nd spot. On that True Value Hardware sponsored machine, and Al Unser Jr., of course, in the Domino's Pizza Hot One. Al Unser Jr. missing the driving championship by 1 point last year, and this year he is in 4th position in the point standings with 91. That's only 6 behind the leader Mario Andretti.
Well, this Sanair here is, from a driver's standpoint, is really a tough track. It's always constantly in a turn all the time. A lot of traffic. You really got to keep your mind sharp. You really have to pay attention not only what you're doing, usually the guy you're racing with that's in front of you and behind you, as well as lapping traffic. It's a real tough race. Luckily, it's cool, though, today, and you're not going to overheat so much.
And the sun is still refusing to shine all the time, although it does peek from behind the clouds once in a while. Now, ESPN and Championship Auto Racing teams present a track back.
Efficient transportation from where your tractor trailer is parked back in the garage area to pit road has always been part and parcel of competition on the CART PPG IndyCar Series. Now you can make a choice of just using a simple mini bike to go back and forth, or you can move up to a little more horsepower like this one here. Or if you're way in the back of the garage area, you may need an off-road vehicle such as this. But when in doubt, when none of these are available, well, just go back to old pedal power.
Nice to see Jack Arute expending some of that energy out there. 112 laps are completed at the Molson Indy at St. Pete, Quebec. We'll be right back. From Machinist Union team and from all of us at ESPN, get well soon, Jose Ley. And we're glad to report that Jose Ley is out of the hospital and is recuperating in Indianapolis. But he was involved in just an absolutely incredible accident last weekend at Mid-Ohio, but received only a broken thigh bone. That has been surgically repaired, and now it's just a process of mending, and we hope it goes well for Jose Ley Garza. You can be back with us very soon on the CART PPG IndyCar World Series. Here at Sanair Super Speedway near Montreal and the Molson Indy, 120 laps have been completed, and there is your leader, Bobby Rahal. He is about 8 seconds ahead of second place Al Unser Jr. In third is the number 5 car of Mario Andretti, a lap down. Fourth is Kevin Kogan. In fifth position is Emerson Fittipaldi, 2 laps down. Then in sixth position is Johnny Rutherford, also 2 laps down. Seventh is Roberto Guerrero. In eighth position is Danny Sullivan, 3 laps down. Ninth is Tom Sneva, 4 laps down. And 10th is Johnny Parsons, also 4 laps down. And Parsons, of course, is involved in that machinist union. And we have a crash down in turn number 3 involving 2 cars, Johnny Rutherford and Roberto Guerrero.
Yep. Roberto Guerrero, I tell you, the guy is, if it wasn't for bad luck, he'd have no luck at all.
Roberto was a leader of this race, had to come in for a couple of unscheduled stops, was moving back up toward the front, but now is involved in an accident with Johnny Rutherford. And Johnny isn't one of the most lucky people either as far as IndyCar racing is concerned. Of course, he was the winner at the Michigan 500, so he put a win under his belt this year in IndyCar racing, but has had some tough luck elsewhere, including at Pocono, where he had a terrible crash.
Well, I think both Roberto, here we can see in the replay here, actually we couldn't really see what happened. It was just the tail end of it, but those 2 guys were competing for position. I believe they were 6th and 7th at the time that accident took place. It looks to me like they're having a little bit of difficulty getting JR out of the car. Roberto's out of the car. I think he's actually walked over to the Rutherford car to see if he's all right. The Horton medical people are working with Johnny at the moment. As you can see on your screen, 2 or 3 guys there trying to unbuckle him. But really, we're really not sure what's going on. We're going to go to replay now and see if we can see actually what took place here.
Well, this is from our low camera down in the pit area, and there you can see the contact that Rutherford had with the wall, hitting the wall at least one time and the left rear of the machine.
He hit the wall pretty hard, Bob. You can see that.
Yeah, he's
out of the car now, and he appears to be okay.
So both Roberto Guerrero and Johnny Rutherford are out of their cars, but their cars have been damaged extensively here at Sanair Superspeedway. 124 laps have been completed, and we go to our second yellow of the day because of an accident. It's actually the 3rd yellow of the afternoon. The other yellow was for debris on the racetrack. Everything appears to be in good shape as far as drivers are concerned. So we will take this break and be back with more of the Molson Indy from Sanair Superspeedway. Stay with us. Johnny Rutherford's wrecked race car is being lifted off of the racing surface. He was involved in an accident with Roberto Guerrero, and there is Michael Andretti, who has lost a right front wheel and is coming in for repairs. Roberto Guerrero was the other driver involved in the accident over in turn 3 with Johnny Rutherford. He is with our Jackaroo.
Here's how close it came for Roberto Guerrero. This is his helmet that he just brought to pit road, and you can see where it's all tore up. Roberto is with us, though, and Roberto, you're okay.
Yeah, fortunately, I'm okay.
What happened?
I think it's, you know, this track is very tight, and I was trying to get by Johnny, and I thought I had the line, and he came across, so, you know, it's just very easy for that to happen on this racetrack, unfortunately.
Well, they say expect the unexpected when you come to Sanair, but nobody expected what we've seen today. Gentlemen?
Well, it looks, from what we can see or could see, we couldn't see all of it. And hearing Roberto's comments, it sounds like it was just a racing accident. No one in particular was at fault.
Now our Napa mid-race recap. Average speed after 113 laps, 114.197 miles an hour. We had at that point 2 caution periods. We're in our 3rd right now. 14 cars still on the lead lap, still running rather, and only 2 cars, however, on the lead lap. Now, those cars that have dropped out of competition include Gary Bettenhausen, Dick Simon, Jacques Villeneuve, Rick Mears, and Roberto Guerrero and Johnny Rutherford. But again, we can tell you that Gary Bettenhausen himself has gotten into the Dennis Firestone car and is still out there in competition. So we're cleaning up the racetrack and still under yellow here at Sanair Superspeedway. Back with more in just a moment. Back at Sanair Superspeedway near Montreal, where Johnny Rutherford's wrecked car is being taken off of the racetrack. He has been taken to the infield hospital for a checkup. Roberto Guerrero, the other driver involved in the accident, he is okay, having talked with our Jackaroo just moments ago. So there are 15 cars still on the racetrack, and the cleanup continues down in turn number 3. The Horton safety team still out there soaking up some of the fluid that was put down on the racetrack, but one of the trucks is clearing right now, so it shouldn't be too much longer before we are back under green conditions. The leader is Bobby Rahal, and second place is Al Unser Jr.
I believe the points go through 15th, so everybody who's running is going to get something. The question is, who's going to get the 20?
15 cars are still out there after a starting field of 21. And earlier today, the Formula One race at Monza, Italy was held. The Italian Grand Prix, the winner was Nelson Piquet, second place Nigel Mansell, and third was Stefan Johansson. And I can imagine the enthusiasm of the Italian crowd as one of their Ferraris finished third.
Yeah, enthusiasm, putting it mildly. Good heavens, I'm sure.
Have you ever been there?
Yes, I have. And I'll just say that the crowd tends to be rather exuberant in that area.
Yeah.
And, finishing third with the season they've had this year, I'm not sure. It may be wiped right off the map at this point.
Yeah, it's a very enthusiastic crowd, but you know, it's a very ruly crowd. There's no vandalism or that type of thing. They just love racing, and especially the red Ferraris.
Yeah, they do get a little excited, though. They certainly stormed the pits after the race is over.
Yes.
Instead of Formula 2 race there, and sort of headed for the rent-a-car in a hurry.
All right, in one more lap, they will get the green flag and go back to racing. So let's get an update on Rutherford's condition from Jackaroo.
We spoke with Johnny Caples, the crew chief, and also with John Evenson, the director of public relations for CART. Here's the condition on Johnny Rutherford. He's okay, but they're going to keep him in the Horton safety team vehicle for 30 minutes for observation. He got his bell rung, gentlemen.
Well, that
John, he had his bell rung at Pocono not too long ago, and all drivers have had that happen one time or other. It's a real wise move on behalf of the safety people to keep them under observation for a while. Drivers have a tendency to sort of pretend nothing ever wrong with them, even though things are going. Now we're coming down with a green flag here.
And Al Unser Jr. trying to get the jump on Bobby Rahal as they go into turn number 1, but Al Unser Jr. can't get the job done. He has to back off. He was on the inside line, and Rahal had the higher, more proficient line. There are 2 cars ahead of the leader, Bobby Rahal, as they circle the track, but Bobby Rahal now the leader and being challenged by Al Unser Jr. The car that they go to the inside to pass is Johnny Parsons, and a car spins in turn number 1, and that is Gary Bettenhausen driving the Dennis Firestone machine.
That brings out the yellow flag number 4. And looks like there's nobody else involved other than Gary Bettenhausen. If you might recall, he started out in another car, and on the very first lap of this race, Dennis Firestone was slated to drive that Radar car. However, he had some arm problems, shoulder separation problems, and put Gary Bettenhausen in the car. It looks like he's spun out.
And this yellow flag means another opportunity to come in for a pit stop, and both Bobby Rahal and Al Unser Jr. do so. So does Tom Sneva. The report on Tom Sneva earlier was that he may be suffering from some exhaustion. They doused him with water during one of the pit stops, but I don't know about that because it is certainly not warm here today. It's far from that. Perhaps Tom is not feeling as well as he could, and he makes the pit stop and goes back out there once again.
What could also be that this is the type of track that Sneva shines on, and he may have some handling problems, and maybe he's just overworking himself, because it's really not Tom's position. He's 4 laps off the lead at this point in time, so he's struggling with something, no doubt about that.
Once again, we have a yellow flag displayed over the racetrack, slowing the pace. We Went for quite a while there without a yellow, and now 2 in a row here. Well, live this Saturday, September the 13th at 7:30 Eastern Time, 2 early top 20 teams take to the field as Texas A&M invades Tiger Stadium in Baton Rouge, Louisiana for the Texas A&M and Louisiana State football game. CFA action here on ESPN season long, and we invite you to watch the action of this one Saturday, September 13th at 7:30 Eastern Time here on ESPN.
Looks like Gary Bettenhauser really just did that. Just been, he's gotten going again and trying to catch up to the back of the pack. So they're not giving the 1 lap to go sign yet, but I would imagine next time by that's probably what the pack's going to get.
All right, Kevin Cogan has come in for a stop. He's unofficially shown in 3rd position, although he's going to lose that now with this pit stop. And once again, let's go down to Jack Arute.
Tom Sneeve has been having his share of problems, as has been reported. He's been dropping back and having handling difficulties because the car has been very loose. He also had a problem 2 pit stops ago when they couldn't get the right rear tire off and had to go an additional stop without it. So that could account for his problems. But more so, one of his crew members, Barry Falls, has been brought to the Horton Safety Center because the air jack, came out and it landed on his foot, and he has severely hurt his ankle. So they're checking him over as well.
Holy smokes.
Now the 1 lap sign is being given to the field as it comes down, so we will go back to green next time. Bobby Rahal is the leader, and Al Unser Jr. is in 2nd position.
I might add that Al Unser Jr. did pit that time to take on some fuel that may have some significance a little bit later on, because Bobby did not. I don't know what the difference in laps between fuel stops between the 2 are, but you know, a little track like this, when for sure you're going to have yellow flags. When you get gas is critical. It's just really the luck of the draw.
This is a 225 lap event, and we have completed 139. The pace car is moving off of the racetrack, and we are going green once again. Nick Fedoro displays the green flag. The field picks up speed and comes down to receive the go signal. And a car.
Mario Andretti looks like he was clipped going through turn 1. Some body work, some debris. I'm sure that's going to bring out the yellow flag. I'm not sure that they've seen it yet.
Well, there's a big piece of metal laying up in the first turn, and there is the caution flag. And Derek Daly also has a problem down in turn number 3. He's up against the wall, but moving very slowly down the racetrack, however. I don't know what his problem is, but Mario Andretti did get clipped out there in turn number 1, and a piece of body work came.
He's coming into the front pits. It looks like he has
the right front wing
is missing, as well as the right front tire looks like it's flat. So they're going to have a little work to do in the Andretti pit.
And here's a replay of it. This is what happened as the field moved into turn number 1 after getting the green.
Oh, yeah, it looks, he and Daly, the guys that touched. Daly tried to go on the outside. His left rear tire hit Mario Andretti's right rear, flat spotting and puncturing the right front tire and taking the right wing out.
But Mario has received some repairs and blends into the field once again. And here is another angle of the incident.
Yeah, it looks like Derek sort of, well, it's hard to say who's at fault. They touched, let's put it that way. And knocking off the right front wing, Mario Andretti, some body work, and planted the right front tire, which he's had to come in and change, subsequently has changed.
But Mario has moved onto the racetrack without a right front wing, so there could be some handling problems with that car. It's not going to handle as it did before this incident. Back with more from Sanair Superspeedway and the Molson Indy. Still under yellow at Sanair Superspeedway, and now they are replacing the right front wing on Mario Andretti's car after he was clipped by Derek Daly out there on the racetrack. Here's Jack Arute.
This is the 2nd stop for Mario Andretti during this caution. The first one was for fuel and tires, but he has a broken right front wing. They elected now to change it. They're doing that right now under caution, but it's very costly for your 3rd place runner, Mario Andretti. Let's go topside.
And there is quite a bit of confusion as to who is leading this race. Now, the official scoring says that Al Unser Jr. is, and that Bobby Rahal is in 2nd position. However, we question that because Little Al made a pit stop, and
Bobby didn't.
Okay, well, CART does confirm that Al Unser Jr. is leading this race.
Find that a little bit difficult to believe, knowing that he came in and got gas and Bobby didn't. But
if that's the case, Howie, Bobby is almost a lap behind because he's just in front of Al Unser Jr. So Al Unser Jr. has quite a significant lead here as we are about to go back to green. The pace car pulls into the pit area, and here we go once again. Ray Hall is at the front of the pack, but apparently it is Al Unser Jr. who's the leader of this race. Al Jr. quickly disposes of Johnny Parsons and goes underneath him in turn number 1. And now Al Unser Jr. setting sail for second place, Bobby Rahal, and looking to put a lap on him.
If he passes him, he's going to put Rahal down one lap.
Little Al moving in on him as Mario Andretti rejoins the race. That's the car to the inside of the racetrack there, moving slowly. Mario has replaced that right front wing on the car and is rejoining the event. Running in third position is Kevin Cogan. Fourth is Emerson Fittipaldi. In fifth position is Danny Sullivan. He's 3 laps down. Sixth position is Tom Sneva, who's 4 laps down. In seventh is Johnny Parsons, 5 laps down. Eighth is Michael Andretti, 6 laps down. Ninth is the number 5 car of Mario Andretti, who is also 6 laps to the rear. And Derek Daly, shown in 10th position, also 6 laps down. There are only 15 cars out there. The others running. 11th is Pancho Carter. In 12th position is Raul Boisel. 13th is Jeff Brabham. In 14th position is Dale Coyne. And in 15th position, shown as Johnny Rutherford, although he is out of the race because of the accident. So there are 14 cars that are still out there on the racetrack.
Well, we're watching Al Unser Jr., the leader. He's trying real hard to catch Bobby Rahal and put him a lap down. He'd like nothing better than to be able to do that. So he's trying really hard.
Closing in on Bobby as they go into turn number 3, but Rahal pulls away just a little bit as they come down the straightaway. Al Unser Jr. has the most competitive miles this year on the IndyCar World Series.
The gap now between Kevin Cogan and Al Unser Jr. is almost about a third of a lap here. So maybe even a little bit more. This is a significant lead here for Jr.
There you can see 2 cars on the lead lap, but Al Unser Jr. is trying to pass Bobby Rahal, the car right in front of him, to put him a lap down and make it only 1 on the lead lap. The average speed of the race has dropped because of the recent yellow caution periods, and it's down to 102.798 miles an hour. That at the end of 150 laps, and we've completed 153.
You know, I think about it, Bob. You know, we were talking earlier. I remember making a comment about Junior getting gas, and maybe that later pay off. It looks like, according to scoring, it's paid off significantly because he's got 2 laps on everyone except Bobby Rahal, and he's right behind him.
Al Unser Jr. has not won this year in IndyCar racing, so we could have our 7th different winner of the year and we have a yellow flag as
Pancho Carter, smoking car, is into the pits. Looks like at first you might think engine problems. Pretty difficult to say. You can see it pulling into a stop at the pits here. A lot of smoke coming out back there.
And Tom Sneva has been assessed a stop-and-go penalty for passing under a yellow. We noticed him come in for the stop-and-go penalty. We didn't know what it was for. That is the explanation. And Pancho Carter has a very smoking race car. It could be engine, it could be turbocharger, it could be a number of things, but Pancho Carter, who worked with us in the booth last weekend in Mid-Ohio, is out of the race here today. We'll be right back. Confused. Bobby Rahal is shown as now he's being allowed. Okay, now we got it worked out. Bobby Rahal was positioned right behind the pace car, and now they do pick up the leader, Al Unser Jr. So Rahal apparently will be allowed now to join the rear of the field. He is on the same lap as the leader, Al Unser Jr. More on what's going on here with Jack Arute.
Pancho Carter is out of the race. What put you out, Pancho?
Well, we blew an engine there at the end. We'd had some trouble early on. Had an upright come loose. We had to come in and make a lengthy stop into the green, so we were down quite a few laps. But the five-star marketing car was handling real well, and it's just a shame that I couldn't continue that string of finishes with another third.
A lot of close quarters action here, and a lot of bent fiberglass, busted fiberglass, in fact.
Well, there sure is. Reminds me a lot of the sprint cars and midgets I used to race. Was really enjoying myself out there. The car was handling real well, and I was able to work my way back up through traffic, even unlap myself one of the laps we were down, and I was going to try and keep doing that until the race was over.
Well, let me update you as well on the situation between first and second, Al Unser Jr. and Bobby Rahal. I conversed with Steve Horn, the crew chief on Bobby Rahal's car, and he was convinced that they were the lead car, and that was the reason why he kept Bobby out behind the pace car rather than picking up the lap. He checked with scoring, and they had told him 2 different times 2 different things. So it looks like maybe now, under this caution, it's been straightened out.
Okay, yeah, Bobby Rahal has been allowed to pass the pace car and now is rejoining the rear of the field. There he is. So he's on the same lap as the leader, Al Unser Jr., who is the first car behind the pace car.
Well, the difference being not only on the same lap, but instead of being on the same lap and 8 feet in front of Al Unser Jr., he's on the same lap and about, half a straightaway behind him, which is a major significance.
All right, a couple of pit stops being made as we watch the cars going at reduced pace on the racetrack. Mario Andretti has come in for another stop. Tom Sneva also visits his pit very briefly.
Apparently we have a discrepancy with the scorekeepers and the Budweiser Rahal team, and they seem to disagree with the kart scoring people. Of course, Bobby's crew figures that they're in the lead. The kart insists that Al Unser Jr. is in the lead. So, well, at the moment, we have to go with the kart people.
We really do. They apparently know a lot more than we do just from watching the race and not keeping all that close of tabs on it, as we have to watch the monitor and be concerned with other things. But it would appear to me that Bobby Rahal did not lose a lap, as they said he did, or almost lose a lap earlier in the race. But again, the card says that Bobby Rahal is in second position.
It's sort of difficult up here in the booth to watch what's going on, watch the monitor, and keep an objective opinion. But I guess we got to do that.
162 laps have been completed, and we are still under caution. We'll be back in Sanair in just a moment. This lengthy yellow period that we're under is because there was some oil dropped over between turns 2 and 3 by Pancho Carter, who lost an engine on that car. Well, let's get an explanation from Jack Arute about the scoring question that we have right now. Jack?
Steve Horn is the crew chief for Bobby Rahal's True Sports Racing team. And Steve, see if you can unravel this for us. Now, what is CART telling your team about your position on the racetrack?
Well, CART have just told us we are the leader, but there's some confusion because they picked up the wrong leader. I think the situation arose under the very second to last yellow. We and Al Unser Jr. pitted together, but he passed the pace car in the pits exactly as we did in Toronto, and we feel he's due a penalty. I think that's what the CART's going to do, but they have a slight problem, I think.
So your petition to them is to try and straighten it out before we go back to green.
Right, I want to sort it out before we go green. They have told me we are the leader, but twice in a row now they've picked up the wrong lead car.
Well, that's the story here, but there's still a lot of question marks. Gentlemen?
With all due respect, on the track this size, it's easy to understand how anybody, including the officials, can get confused. I know we're confused up here in the booth, so it's not a question of blame one way or another, but the audience has to realize that everybody keeps their own lap chart, and since they have a much more direct interest in this thing, they certainly have a tendency to be a little bit more correct.
So on our data speed monitor, which is the standings as we are given them, Al Unser Jr. is still shown as the leader with Rahal second. But apparently there is some consultation going on right now among the officials. And that could be, although the safety trucks are still over there between turns 2 and 3 trying to get up that oil that has been dumped by the Pancho Carter car, but there could also be discussions causing the continuance of this yellow because of the scoring problem that we might have here at Sanair Superspeedway. Back with more right after this. With Howdy Holmes and Jack Arute, this is Bob Jenkins back at Sanair Superspeedway for the Molson IndyCar race. Today's purse amounts to $600,000, and the winner will get a little more than $69,000. Danny Sullivan, who is riding in 5th position at the moment in that car number 4, shown as 2 laps down, and we understand that we will be going back to green next time around. Unser Jr. apparently is the leader of this race. As we prepare to go back to green, Bobby Rahal running second, and Emerson Fittipaldi third, then Kevin Cogan and Danny Sullivan, followed by Tom Sneva, Johnny Parsons, Michael Andretti, Derek Daly, and Mario Andretti. Pace car pulls off of the racetrack, and when we complete lap number 170, the green flag will be displayed. Here it is, back to racing. See how well Rahal is able to move up through the traffic. As we are watching the leader, Al Unser Jr., followed by Michael Andretti, who is in 8th position, 6 laps down. As the green flag came out that time around, Derek Daly made a quick pit stop, but has rejoined the race. Continuing to lead with 171 laps completed. Here he comes off the corner number 3. That's Derek Daly running ahead of him.
Al's been able to just go right past Derek there. But he's trying to take every little bit of advantage and starting up front. Bobby's back probably, I'd say, 7 or 8 seconds. Saw by the graphic there how consistent Al Unser Jr. has been this year. That's the reason that he is 4th in the point standings. He hasn't won a race so far, but he has been very consistent. He was 2nd at Long Beach, had a 5th place finish at Indianapolis. He was 8th in Milwaukee, 3rd at Portland. He was 9th at the Meadowlands, 8th at Cleveland, 4th at Toronto. He had an 8th place finish at Michigan, a 6th at Pocono, and a 5th at Mid-Ohio. So he's been in the top 10 just about every race this year, and is looking for win number 1 as we see Bobby Rahal now moving up through the traffic and trying to catch Al Unser Jr. Yeah, Al Unser Jr. consistency is really what pays off in this business over a period of 17 races. You can finish in the top 10, 3/4 of those, you're going to be in the top 3, if not the top 4 points every time.
The interval between 1st and 2nd is not really lessening. It's about 8 seconds between the 1st and 2nd position. So Bobby has got his work cut out for him. There is Danny Sullivan, who's running in 5th. He has a head wound, and we ask him about that.
Danny, you're sporting an injury to your forehead. What happened?
Well, after last Sunday's Mid-Ohio race, I had to go to New York, and I was riding home after dinner in a taxi, and some guy ran a red light and hit us in the rear quarter panel and knocked me into the divider window in the middle and split my forehead open. So it wasn't too bad. It was just 25 stitches.
But my question, I wonder who was driving the cab. Was Danny driving, or was he sitting in the back?
Well, he used to be a cab driver in New York City, but he's a race driver at the moment, and as we said, running in 5th position, 3 laps down in that Miller American.
I'm not sure what the difference is between a cab driver in New York City and a CART PPG IndyCar driver.
The yellow flag is out. The yellow is out. We see no obvious reason on the racetrack. Let's go down for a report from Jack Arute.
You're looking at Steve Horn, the crew chief for Bobby Rahal. You heard him tell us during that caution that CART had informed him that they were the leader of this race. When they restarted it, however, he was in 2nd position. He has now told me that he intends to protest the finish of this race. His blood pressure is awfully high right now.
Well, I can imagine Steve Horn thinks that Bobby Rahal, his driver, is the leader, and Card says that Al Unser Jr. is the leader. In any case, the field is going to bunch up once again under this yellow and give Rahal a better shot at it. Debris on the racetrack is listed as the official cause of the yellow flag. Now, 180 laps have been completed. We have 45 more to go before this one comes to an end.
Well, listening to that interview with Jack and Steve Horn earlier on, and the situation in the Toronto race where they actually gave Bobby Rahal a stop-and-go penalty in the pits, and if you believe what Steve Horn said, then he's sort of expecting the same thing with Al Unser Jr. I can imagine his blood pressure's right off. Probably broke the bulb.
The field slowed once again because of yellow, but we'll go back to green in one more lap. Tom Sneva comes in for another pit stop. He's pointing toward the rear end of the car.
No, the front. He'd like a little bit more front wing. It looks like one of the crew members is winding in a little bit more wing. Oh, the crew member just jumped right out of the way. That's shades of Pocono and Mario Andretti stop.
By saying getting more wing into the front of the car, what do you mean?
What that means is these wings are adjustable from the outside. Only a crew member can do that. You can raise and or lower the wing, either side or both at the same time, which gives you a little bit more downforce, a little bit less downforce. We're getting the green now. That's a handling adjustment, which makes the car better or worse.
All right, here we go. Green flag comes back out once again on lap 181. Bobby Rahal starts his pursuit toward the front now, but it's about almost a half a lap. There's Rahal. Following in front of him is Danny Sullivan and Emerson Fittipaldi both. We'll see if he can work his way through this traffic here into turn number 1. He disposes of Danny Sullivan going into the corner. Now Emerson Fittipaldi will be next, but Al Unser Jr. is
about
moving.
5.5 seconds in front of Bobby Rahal at the moment. Just counted that off. Trusty stopwatch.
There is Al Unser Jr. going into turn number 1. Officially, the data speed indicates that it's about a 4-second advantage for Al Unser Jr. But Bobby Rahal is closing in just slightly. There he is. He's still behind Emerson Fittipaldi, although he is catching him. And there is Little Al going out of corner number 1, headed down the short chute that connects turns 1 and 2. This actually is almost like a Pocono racetrack, although it's configured a little bit differently. But for all practical purposes, it's a tri-oval with the second corner immediately across the way from us here on the main straightaway.
Very much like Pocono, tri-oval, but if you think of it as a D-shaped track, with all 3 corners being very distinctly different.
Well, now the indication from Card is that they're going to black flag Al Unser Jr. Yes, they do. The black flag is being given to Al Unser Jr. He will be assessed a stop-and-go penalty. And so apparently the Card officials have gotten their heads together and decided that Al Unser Jr. should be given a penalty because of passing the pace car.
He's coming in the pits now. He's certainly not slowing down much.
Well, here he goes. This will be just a stop the car and move away, although now
they're holding there the pits. There's a car official in front of the car. Yep. Brave soul, I might add. He's standing with his hand out, as you all can see. Now they're letting him go.
He blasts out of the pit area and rejoins the race.
And Steven's got a smoking engine. He's pulling into the pits.
And the yellow flag is out.
Bring out the yellow flag, and it does.
Now, this is going to be interesting because with the field bunched up now again, and they'll pick up Rahal, the leader. Al Unser Jr. is going to be in a pretty good position for a run at Rahal.
As a matter of fact, with the timing of that yellow flag, if they do pick up the leader, which should be Bobby Rahal, Al Unser Jr. will be, who is really only about 5 seconds in front of being lapped by Bobby Rahal on the track, will be able to go all the way around and set up a pretty interesting race here.
Okay, that's what they're doing. The pace car has picked up Bobby Rahal. He's the leader. And now Al Unser Jr. will be on the same lap, but in second position. And the penalty was a 20-second penalty for a pace car violation. He passed the pace car while coming out of the pits a couple of yellow flags ago. And there is the Tom Sneva machine. It has expired for the afternoon, the Skoal Bandit. So Tom Sneva retires from competition. 191 laps have been completed at the Molson Indy. And now we are set up for what could indeed be an exciting finish. Rahal and Al Unser Jr. And we'll be back in just a moment. Back at Sanair Superspeedway in St. Pete, Quebec, about 40 miles to the east of Montreal, where the Molson Indy is 193 laps old. And let's get a report from the pit area. Once again, let's go to Jack Arute.
It's an amazingly calm Dennis Swan that's behind me. He's the crew chief for Al Unser Jr., who just received what Dennis kindly called the stop and wait penalty. Dennis, it almost seems like the shades of Toronto all over again.
Well, these little short tracks, it's easy to get a little confusion. And basically, we made a really good pit stop in the middle of the race. And we beat the pace car out. And we put a lap on the field, which is probably technically not too cool. So what they did is they waved Bobby around on the next yellow. And so I thought everything was fine. And now they gave us a stop and wait. I don't quite understand it all.
Well, is it a cool move or a not too cool move?
Well, that's a relative.
That's the story from the pits, but they still think they've got a good shot at winning this one.
Well, I think what Dennis is saying is, yeah, we did make up a lap, and yeah, Cart is right in what they did without really saying as much.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The average speed is down to 100.064 miles an hour after 190 laps. And now we'll see if Al Unser Jr. can catch Bobby Rahal, but it doesn't appear here in the
beginning of
opening laps.
No, Bobby's really trying hard to pull out.
We'll get the interval here as Rahal crosses the start-finish line. And there is Al Unser Jr. It's about 4.5 seconds at the moment. So Bobby Rahal is going for 2 in a row. Last weekend, a winner at Mid-Ohio on the road course when Danny Sullivan's car faltered in the late stages, and he is out in front here at Sanair.
Second place, Al Unser Jr. Third place with 1 lap down is Emerson Fittipaldi. 2 laps down, and in 4th position is Kevin Cogan. 3 laps down, and in 5th position is Danny Sullivan. Then we go 6th position, number 18, Michael Andretti is 5 laps off the pace.
Al Unser Jr. is approaching Mario Andretti on the racetrack at the moment. That is Mario right ahead of Al Unser Jr. as he tries to close in on and cut the distance between himself and the leader, Bobby Rahal. Next time around, it'll complete 200 laps. We'll have 25 more to go, and this IndyCar race will be over. And the next time the Indy cars compete will be in Michigan International Speedway. We'll have coverage of that here on ESPN. Back to the Super Speedway, the 2-mile tri-oval, High Banks.
We've got the interval between Bobby Rahal, the leader, and Al Unser Jr. in second place. Just around 6 seconds at the moment. The difference is Bobby does not have any traffic in front of him for quite a while, and Al, on the other hand, is right behind Mario Andretti and then Kevin Cogan, both of which are several laps off the pace.
The leader, Rahal, will be approaching some slower traffic in this lap, however, as Gary Bettenhausen in the Dennis Firestone car and Jeff Brabham and Derek Daly are all running in a group. There is Gary Bettenhausen as Rahal closes in quickly. Look at how fast that distance closes up. He passes Gary Bettenhausen. Now as they come down the main straightaway, he will be approaching Jeff Brabham and Derek Daly both. There you can see the
Bobby's in a position, just gonna, looks like he's, well, couldn't make it there. He's probably set him up on the front straight. He's been known to go on the inside going into turn 3, and there he goes. One of his favorite passing spots. Now he's right up behind Derek Daly. Looks like he's going to be able to come up and go down on the inside here in turn 1. Clean pass.
Nice pass. Nice to see Derek Daly doing well once again in the top 10 here this afternoon. He's 7 laps down, but is shown in 10th position after last weekend's 6th place finish at Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, must be something about doing the CSPN in the booth. All of a sudden, next thing you know, you get a ride.
Yeah, we've had Derek Daly, who of course helped us quite a bit here in the booth, get a ride. Pancho Carter last week was our guest commentator, and he has the ride this weekend in the Gallus car, and now perhaps Howdy Holmes will be getting a ride soon. I'm sure you hope so.
Absolutely. Looking forward to coming back.
There's Derek in the number 66 full sponsored machine with associate sponsorship this weekend from Canadian Tire. That, of course, is the car that is normally driven by, or at least was driven by earlier in the season by Ed Kemp. Back to the leader, and there is the leader once again, Bobby Rahal, into turn number 1. We'll watch and see how far Allenser Jr. is behind.
The current scoring has him at a little over 9 seconds at the moment with, 207 laps complete on a 225 lap race.
So the interval is definitely not disappearing, but there are a lot of laps to go, and anything can happen to the Bobby Rahal car. Look at him raise his hand and shake his fist at Johnny Parsons.
Yeah, I don't think he was adjusting his visor there, Bob. Maybe an international salute, perhaps, but he's a little bit disgusted there.
Just to recap what has taken place here this afternoon, we have had 2 accidents to speak of. The first one was on the very first lap in corner number 1 when Dennis Firestone was involved in an incident with Dale Coyne, and Dennis Firestone and Jacques Villeneuve also. Firestone has been taken to a local hospital with a possible separated shoulder. And the other incident occurred down in turn number 3 when Johnny Rutherford and Roberto Guerrero got together. Roberto was uninjured. Johnny Rutherford is being held in the Horton Medical Center for observation. And the interval now is up to almost 11 seconds between Rahal and Allenser Jr.
Bobby Rahal, as you can see, is about to pass Dale Coyne. And he's got a considerable clear track in front of him, allow him to try and increase his lead. Next person that will come up upon is Emerson Fittipaldi, which is he's about 4 or 5 seconds in front of Bobby. So he's got clean sailing. In fact, it's allowing Bobby Rahal, because Allenser Jr. is in traffic with Mario Andretti and Michael Andretti, it's allowing Bobby to actually gain a tremendous amount of time.
This will be one of Emerson Fittipaldi's best finishes of the year. He is currently in 3rd place, but is a lap down. He did have a 2nd place finish at the Meadowlands. He was 3rd at Phoenix, but he can equal that Phoenix finish here this afternoon if he stays out there on the racetrack. He has a lap on the 4th place runner, who is Kevin Kogan. Emerson Fittipaldi, the 2-time world driving champion, doing a fine job in 3rd position in that Marlboro car.
4th position is his teammate, Kevin Kogan, 2 laps off the pace.
We understand that if the race should end right now, Rahal and Allenser Jr. would be tied in the points. Is that correct? That is possible, I guess.
Let's see, 107 points, if I'm not mistaken.
So the CART PPG IndyCar World Series point standings very, very tight after 11 races, and will be even tighter after 12 races. Jeff Brabham is still out there on the racetrack. He is in 11th position, some 14 laps down, but there's another situation in which the team has decided to do some experimenting this year with the Brabham engine. Best finish in 1986 was the Honda engine, I should say. 4th place in the Michigan 500.
This particular race, Bob, went back to a Cosworth engine because in qualifying, when he was out on the track with the Honda engine, he had a ring gear let go and it went out through the transmission. It didn't have a replacement there, so he had to go to a Cosworth.
But the team has been experimenting with that Honda engine and has run it many occasions this year. They hope to bring it to the Holland right along. There is once again the leader, Bobby Rahal, and we are 218 laps into the race. Johnny Parsons in car number 55 is running in 7th position, 6 laps down. Parsons taking over this Machinist Union ride for the ailing Jose Le Garza. And once again, we want to give our best to Jose Le, who is recuperating in Indianapolis. He's out of the hospital, but with that broken leg. Johnny Parsons from Speedway, Indiana. Dale Coyne is also still out on the racetrack. In car number 19, he has been consistent all day, certainly not fast, but that operation isn't the most financially healthy. But Dale Coyne will finish his first race ever if he can make it the rest of the way, and we've only got 4 laps to go.
Bobby Rahal putting another lap on Danny Sullivan. And putting him 3 laps down.
The number 22 car, Raul Boisel, also in the top 10. He's shown in 9th position, 8 laps down. He's been in and out of the pit area several times during the afternoon, but nevertheless is apparently going to finish this race. It's the Duracell Copper Top car owned by Dick Simon. There is Bobby Rahal moving to the inside and lapping more slower traffic.
That was Michael Andretti and Derek Daly. It looks to me like Bobby's got clear track in front of him. All he has to do is try and get out of his mind the thoughts of the wheels are going to fall off and the engine falling apart. He shouldn't have any more difficulty with lap traffic as he comes up with the checkered flag. This time around, he's going to get the white flag, which indicates this type of racing that there's 1 lap to go. Looking down on Nick Toronto, he does have that flag in his hand. Bobby entering the front straight now. 1 lap to go. Last lap.
Bobby Rahal from Dublin, Ohio is about to win his 2nd consecutive IndyCar race and his 4th race of the series. He is in turn number 2, clear sailing ahead of him. An easy win for Bobby Rahal this afternoon at Sanair Super Speedway in Montreal. Here he is. Bobby Rahal is champion once again in an IndyCar race.
Well, that's a good win for Bobby. It's 4 wins. I don't know. It looked like it was an easy win in terms that he didn't have anybody pressing him, but I'm sure that if he has Bobby, he worked pretty hard today.
And Al Unser Jr. crosses the finish line in 2nd position. He was the only other car on the lead lap with Bobby Rahal. Unofficially, Emerson Fittipaldi 3rd, Kevin Kogan 4th, and Danny Sullivan finishes in 5th position. So that's the unofficial finish of the Molson Indy from Sanair Super Speedway near Montreal. Bobby will be pulling into victory lane in just a moment, and we'll have a word from him. Right now, we take this break. The top 5 finishers in the Molson Indy at Montreal. Bobby Rahal the winner, Al Unser Jr. 2nd, Emerson Fittipaldi 3rd, followed by Kevin Kogan and by Danny Sullivan. Well, our winter interview is being brought to you by Goodyear Eagles. You either have Goodyear Eagles or you need them. Let's go to victory lane. Here's Jack Arute.
And Bobby Rahal just got the congratulations of his crew chief, Steve Horn. And Bobby, it seems like these Canadian races are really to your liking this year.
My liking. My only regret is my wife and baby are back home watching. I love you, Deb. And wish you could be here, but we'll be home tonight to party.
Looked like shades of Toronto all over again, but with a little different twist.
Well, when I saw him beat the pace car, I said to Steve, hey, that's what I got caught for. I hope they're going to do something about that. And then for a while, I thought, God, it didn't look like they were going to do anything. And, Al's a good friend of mine, but, that's war, I guess, isn't it?
Well, now, the story that we're receiving preliminarily is that you are tied for the points chase right now. You're on top. How do you feel about that?
Well, as I've said all along, we've got to try to go out and win every race. And if we can do that, the championship will take care of itself. And certainly we're on the way now. But I can tell you, if we are first, it's a lot nicer than being 6th.
Hey, for the viewer, it looked like a real heart stopper. How about inside the cockpit of the car? Was it a tough afternoon, or was it fairly easy going for Bobby Rahal?
Well, I had a bit of a misfire at the start, and everybody jumped me, but the car absolutely handled beautifully all day long. The Budweiser car, it was a little slow off the corners engine-wise, response-wise. We richened it up because of the cold weather, and I think that hurt it a bit. But I'm telling you, I could out-handle anybody anywhere.
For those of you that have followed the run of Bobby Rahal, you have always run terrifically the last 4 or 5 races. How does that make you feel in the chase for the championship?
Well, I hope it continues. I hope it continues.
Well, that's the story from Victory Lane. Let's go topside.
Bobby Rahal in Victory Lane after pulling off a win here on the 0.8 of a mile tri-oval at Sanair Super Speedway. His 4th IndyCar win of 1986. We'll be back to have some closing comments in a moment. Back at Sanair Super Speedway, where the Molson Indy has been concluded, here are the top 10 finishers. The winner, Bobby Rahal. Al Unser Jr. finishes 2nd. 3rd was Emerson Fittipaldi. Kevin Cogan was 4th. 5th was Danny Sullivan. Finishing in 6th position, Michael Andretti. 7th was Johnny Parsons. 8th was Mario Andretti. 9th, Raul Boisel. And 10th was Derek Daly. And he in 12th position and finishing his first IndyCar race ever. We have to give a little bit of airtime to Dale Coyne, who persisted out there and finished the race. Not as fast as everyone else, but at least he did finish. Now, the updated and